Hi, welcome. In this video, we're going to go over character arrays and strings. So let's get started. All right, so the string class in C++, you just do pound include string, and you can include the string class. There's also a C-style string class, which if you do pound include C string, you can also include some of the C-style string features. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, most things can be done with the string class, but it's also important to note how strings are stored, and they're stored as an array of single characters with the null character. So while we're learning about strings and the C++ string class, we're also going to learn more about C strings and the C string class because they're both stored the same way, but there are many good features about the C++ string class. But to help you understand more and practice more about arrays, it's good to also understand C strings. Remember that C++ came after C. So in C, you can't use the string class, but in C++, you can use the string class, and you can also use C-style strings or C string. All right, so a string is very powerful. It's the string class that is pound include string is only in C++, and you can use it, but we're going to also review C-style strings to get a better understanding of how they are stored and managed by your computer, because they're managed as an array of characters with the null character at the end. So it's a C++ standard library. Because it is a string class, it has class member functions. So we're going to talk about some of those member functions and do some comparisons between C and C++ style strings. All right, the good thing about C++ string or the string class is that it supports dynamic allocation. So you don't need to declare your array as a character array. If you declare it as a string, and this is how many characters are in it, it will later, if you wanted to change it and add like goodbye world, which takes up more characters, you would be able to do that as long as it was declared as a string. So it can dynamically allocate and grow for you. Where the C-style string class, you give it a size because as a character array, and it does not, if you go out of the bounds, then it will not work as expected. All right, so here's how you declare a string. Now keep in mind that you have to use using namespace standard. If you don't use using namespace standard, then you're going to have to put std and the scope resolution operator when you are using strings. So I'm assuming that we have using namespace standard and that we also have pound include string. So to declare a string, you just put the data type string and the name of the string. The nice thing you can do here in C++ is you can just add two strings together. You could add onto your string, like I could say S1 equals S1 plus S2. That would also create hello world. The only difference is that S1 would now hold hello world instead of a new variable called S3. All right, there are some functions. You use the dot operator. So to get the size of the string, you can say S1 dot length. And this is a member function to the string class, and it's going to return how many characters are in your string. So if your word is hello, it's going to return a 5, HELLO. It actually returns the location or the index of the null character, which we'll get to in a minute. You can append for concatenating strings, or you can add strings together depending on how you wanted to do it. You can find a substring from a start location and how far you want to go. You can locate a substring by passing a substring. So these would be passing indexes, or this is an index and a length, and this is actually another string. You want to search and see if that substring is located in your string. There's a whole bunch of member functions that are part of the string class. This is just a few examples. So let's take a look at how they're stored. So in memory, they are stored as, so keep in mind that happy, Happy, is a string. You use double quotes in C, but it is stored as a series of in-order characters. So in C++ and in C, you use a single quotes. Oops, this should say more. Bothers me. Anyway, you should use single quotes for characters. So this, you take a look at this, and if this was in memory, obviously this would be our memory map. It would be stored as H A P P Y null character. The null character, you can use the keyword null, but it is stored as a single character, but it is actually two characters. It's the backslash and a 0. That is the null character. It's a very important character that needs to be in all character arrays or strings, because that's how all of the string member functions and the character array member functions work, by locating where this null character is. All right, so we have C-style strings. They are stored the same way, only they're not declared the same way. So if you declare a character array like this, and you have to give it a size large enough to hold all of the characters of your string plus the null character. So if you're using the word happy, which has 5 characters, it needs to be at least size 6 to have the the null character. Now there's something I understand you might say, well, why are we even learning about this? It's because studying C strings helps you to understand more about how arrays work. So, and you can use C string. C string has functions as well. It has a string copy function, which is used for assignment. It has a string compare function, which is used for comparing. So you can't use equals equals. If you have two strings that have been assigned as strings, you can say if S1 equals S2. This is C++ style. If you wanted to use C style, you would say if strcmp string compare S1 with S2, and if they are the same, it returns a 0. So that's the C style way to do it, and that's the C++ style way to do it. Now we mostly will just be doing C++, but I just wanted to go over the comparison so you have an understanding, especially if you were to declare a character array and give it a size, and you could not put a different word in here like goodbye, because goodbye is more than 5 letters in the word. All right, so here's just to remind you again, in C, if you declare your character array of size 25, your word can have a maximum of 24 characters. You pound include C string. You can do that in C++. If you make it size 10 and you're only putting this many characters in it, then you're going to have 2 more spaces available, but the null character will be indicating the last character that is in your word. If you do C style, C++ style strings, this is C++, you pound include string, and it's still going to be stored exactly the same way, only it will grow for you. So later, if you wanted to say my string equals goodbye, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, then you can do that. It will just replace bad dog with goodbye because there's enough characters, there's enough space. If you wanted to do it in C, you would have to say string copy into my string the word goodbye. So you can't do direct assignment in C++. In C, you have to do string copy. Now this would work because it's called your string or my string. My string is 25. That's fine. This will work because it's large enough. If I were to put your string here, it would just replace bad dog with goodbye. And that would also work because the size is 10. So we don't, these aren't really used that much, but there's still a lot of things out there in C, so you need to at least be able to recognize it and understand while you're learning about the C++ language. We're also learning about some features of the C language as well. So these are the C string functions. You have, this will give you the length. So I have examples in a minute. This is to compare. String compare compares two full strings. strn compare only compares a certain number of characters in the string. String cat is adding two strings together. strncat only concatenates a certain number of characters from the second string onto the first one. And string copy is for assigning one string to another. So I have some examples of this. So this is if you have make your character array large enough, you can see here we've made our character array to be size 25, and we've put the word happy in there. So there is extra allocated memory in case we wanted to replace it with a larger word later. The null character would be at index 5 because even though it takes up 6 spaces, the index starts at 0. So H is at index 0. Y is at index 4, so the null character would be at index 5, and the string length function is going to return back the length. You can use an integer. You can it should be an unsigned integer, but it still works using the you don't used to have to use a special type for this. If you see it out there on the internet, you can just use integer for this. And it's going to return the length, which is 5, meaning there's 5 letters in the word, and it returns the location of the null character. The way that you do the same thing in C++ using the string class is it must be first declared as a string, and then you just use the dot length function, and that's going to return the same information. So I'm just doing a comparison here to show you the difference between the C and C++ style strings. And the truth is they are still stored the same way. There are just different features and functions on how to manipulate the strings, and you should have a good understanding of both. It's not that much. All right, so here's the next thing, string cat. This is to add two words together. So what you do here is you pass it two strings. So if I have word 4 is skate and word 5 is skateboard, I just have to make sure that word 4 is big enough because it's declared as a character array. And after that, this is just like taking word 4, adding word 5 onto the end and assigning it back to word 4. So that is going to be skateboard. Now the way you would do it in a string is you would declare you would use the adding them together, but you can't do that in the C style string class. This is what you would do in C++. And here the strncat just has you concatenate only two characters from the second word onto the first word. And here's how you do the exact same thing in C++. So you have these slides. These slides are posted so you can look at them and review it after this video. So here's how you would make skateboard. You would take S1, add S2 onto the end of it, and assign it back to S1. That's the same thing as this string cat function right there, which I will. And then if you wanted to only put 2, you have to use the append function. So you're going to take S3, which is skate, and you're going to take S4, which is board, and you're going to start at the index 0 of board, which is right here, and you're going to take 2 characters from board and put them onto the end of S3. So that's how you would append the 2 characters. This to me is more straightforward, but this gives you more freedom because you're going to say from where in this word do I want to take the letters? Do I want to take it from the beginning, which is at index 0, or do I want to take the R and the D, which would be index 0, 1, 2, which would start at index 3. So if I change this and I said S3 dot append onto from S4 starting at 0, 1, 2 index 3, 2 characters, don't forget the semicolon, then we would have skate RD. So, because it's going to start at index 3. All right, so here is concatenation. Here's another example of concatenation, because you can, in C++, you can say skate, I can say F equals F plus S plus room. Maybe that's F is for first. I can write it out for you. So if you wanted to turn your word into skateboard room, you would have to do it with two instructions. First, you take a skate and put it onto the end of board and put it onto the end of the skate, and then this is gonna make two different words. Forget it. This is not. If we wanted to put it all together, then we would string cat onto first the word room. So if we did that and not this, then we would create skateboard room, all one word. What we're doing right here is we are creating, okay, if you want me to repeat that, I'll repeat that. So if I wanted to create, I know it's not really a word, but I wanted to create the word skateboard room all into one word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's fine because first is 25 characters, so it will allow me to do that. So the first step would be to concatenate. This would create skateboard. So now first is skateboard. Then, don't look at this because this is something different. Then I would string cat onto first the word room, and then first would become skateboard room. So there's not a way, because this only takes two arguments, has only 2 parameters, there's not a way to concatenate 3 words together. If I wanted to do it in C++, there is a way. I can say first equals first plus second plus room. But of course, these need to be declared. In order for that to work, these need to be declared as strings, and it has to be using the string class. So why are we even going over this? Well, we're going over this because you really should understand more about how character arrays are stored, how C-style strings work, how C++ strings work, how you create and manipulate words. And by going through this, it helps you understand how words are manipulated. All right, so concatenating only 2 letters, we already did that. String copy. So another thing in C++ is that once you've declared your array, you can declare and initialize it, but later you should not, although modern compilers do allow it, you should not be allowed to assign one string to a character array variable. You should not be able to make this assignment. It's not allowed in C. But in C++ style strings, you can do that. If you are using C style strings, you just need to use what's called the string copy function, and that the string copy function is just like making an assignment. All right, so this is the same thing that how you would do it in C++. Okay, so we don't really need to go through that. So I'm just going through how to, this is just an overview of what we were just talking about, assigning strings. So you can assign anything when they're declared, but assume that they're just declared up here. If you want to make an assignment, you need to use the string copy function. In C++, this is C++, and this is C style. So this is the string class, and this is C strings. If you want to add strings together, you can just add them like that. If you want to get the length of the string, you just, in C, you use the string length function. In C++, you use the dot length function. They both return the location of the null character. And if you want to compare strings, in C, you use the string compare function. And in C++, you can just use the equals equals the way that you compare any other types of variables. Keep in mind that an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter are not the same. So if your string is happy with uppercase letters and the other string is happy with lowercase letters, they should not compare and come out as being equal. All right, so converting string objects and C-style strings. So you can declare a C, if you declare this C string like this with a brackets and you don't put a size in here, this is going to allocate you 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a space, is a string, is a character. Another one here, another one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is going to be size 17 because it's got 16 characters plus the null character. Another thing in strings is dealing with white space does not always behave as expected. So that's something you need to keep in mind. You can use the ignore function, get line, and there's different things we're going to have in our assignment, which I will put some more details along with the assignment and some help with you on dealing with white space. All right, so this is also a string. This is a C style string and this is a C++ style string, and they don't they're both stored the same way, but they do, unless you're part of the string class, they don't work together. So this is going to give you a string that's size 40, so you can't put anything greater than 40 in it. This is just going to give you a string variable of any size. So you can assign a C style string to a C++ style string. You cannot assign a C++ style string to a C style string. That will not work. Okay, you cannot copy a C++ style string onto a C string because a C++ style string is dynamic and can grow, where a C style string cannot grow. So this is not okay and should not work. If you want to copy a C++, the S is for C++, the C is for C, C style string. Okay, if you wanted to, there is a function in the C++ library that will convert this to a C style string before copying it over to a C string. All right, so the string class has a default constructor. Now we are on to the C++ string class. Some more things about that. It has a default constructor. So if you just declare a string, it automatically gives you the empty string. So the empty string, this is the empty string. At index 0 has a null character. If you try to assign like this for the empty string with a space in between it, that's not actually empty. It's going to give you a white space and then the null character. So it actually would be of size 2, of size 1, sorry, the array of size 2, a length of 1, because it's going to put a white space there. So the empty string has nothing in it. It is empty. The initial at index 0 is the null character. You can also use the constructor. So the default constructor gives you an empty string. You can also just assign a string, or you can also declare a string and put the name of your string inside of parentheses. All these ways, these are 3 different ways in which you can create strings as long as you're using the string class, and I recommend using namespace standard, using the standard namespace. All right, so here's a little bit about strings. So and the fact that they are arrays. So once you have created a string, you can go through your string just like you can go through any array. You can search your string, you can remove things from your string, you can add things to your string, you can do all kinds of things. And the best way to study character arrays is to write them out and then decide what you're going to do. Our next assignment will be manipulating strings. So you know, like I would here, if you have your string and you give your string if you have a word. So for example, this string is every day, I guess that's what this example is talking about. So I would write it out like this: E, V, E, R, Y, D, A, Y, null character. It is single characters, but I wouldn't, you don't need to write all those. Index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you're going to get the length of your word, it's going to give you this location right here. So you use this length function to get the length of your word. So we're going to assume that this word every day came in here. And then we're going to make a copy of that word. So this is called the constructor. That's going to be an explicit value constructor, and we're going to pass the word to it. So it's going to be S1. We're going to pretend it's every day. Then to get the length, this is going to return an 8 because that's the location of the null character. So then you can write a loop that's going to start at the beginning at index 0, go 1 by 1 through up to the length. And this is one at a time. So this is going to change it to uppercase. So there's a function. This function is in CC type. So the toUpper function is pound include CC type. And that library will allow you to change things to uppercase and lowercase. Obviously that each character has a numerical value, and you can do it other ways, but I recommend doing it by using the toUpper or toLower function. So the most straightforward way is to go through each letter. You just take your S1 and then change it to uppercase. But if you want to use the C++, so C++ will allow you to use the indexes just like an array. You can practice that. Or you can use the .at, and that will work as well. In a C-style string, you cannot use that. So this is changing it all to uppercase. It's just going to go character by character. It actually is taking, you could pass it the word itself, or you could pass it the string that came in. The string that came in can't be modified because it's a constant string. So that's why we have a return type of string, because we're going to take our constant string and not change it, and then we're going to return the uppercase version of it. That's why it's returning. The return type matches the return type of the function. Then this function over here is going to start at index 1. So we have a new word that we're declaring here. So this is going to be our new word. Again, S1 comes in here. It's every day, and it comes in, and it's a constant, so it can't be modified. We have our new string called word here. So in this one, our word, we're just going to take every letter. In this function right here, word, we're just going to put capital letters for everyone. In this function over here, now we've already done that one. We're at this function. We're going to start at index 1 and copy it over. So we're going to change this to be V. This is index 1. V, E, R, Y, D, A, Y, null character, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's all we did right here with this instruction right here is we created a new word. We started at index 1 which is right here, index 1, and we copied it. Starting from there, we copied it all into here. Now this function right here is erase. So this function will erase. So you erase, you start at index 4 and you erase 3 characters. 1, 2, 3. And the erase function should also remove the null character there. So now we have created the word very. Now we want to take our word and we want to add the word good to it. So because we use the erase function, the null character is here. So now it's going to add the word good on here. G-O-O-D, and add the null character here. So this function right here creates a new string out of the string, and this is not always going to be the word every day. This is just an example with the word every day, but if S1 was a different word, it would still start at index 1 and it would still erase the fourth, starting at the fourth index, 3 letters, and it would still add the word good onto it. So this is just an example where you can practice and you know, I really recommend when you're working with strings to do like I just did and draw the pictures. All right, so just some more things about the member functions that we just looked at. We have s.length, that's going to return the null character. Erase function is going to start at a particular location and remove a certain number of characters. There's 2 different ways when you're looping through, one by one. This is just the array way, which is very straightforward, and this is using the at function. You can use the assignment operator to assign one string to another. You can use the plus operator to add strings together, and you can use the equals equals to compare 2 strings. Some other functions, we have an insert function. You can insert, add a position, so that would be the index, and this would be what string you want to insert. Erase, we just showed you. This is the index. This is how many characters to erase. Replace, this is the index, how many characters to replace, and what substring you want to be put in there. So, and this is another way you can another way to do for loops. Instead of saying I equals 0, you can say I want to go through and iterate and display the letters. You shouldn't need to use this because you're using namespace standard. Because we're just beginning and we're just getting started, I stick with the traditional for loops that go for I equals 0, I less than length, I plus plus. I like to stick with that just because we're just learning about how you know, the C++ language works. All right, so we already went over this. This is just the differences between C++ and C, but the main thing to get out of this video is that you can manipulate strings. Most things work best in the C++ style string class. They can grow dynamically, but you should still have an understanding of the fact that strings are stored as character arrays with the null character, and have some understanding of a few of the C style string member functions and how they work. Thank you.